Hello, my name is Jonathan Betzler. Normally I'm the host of the video blog Film Revision, but today I'm here, Reel 13 has asked me to talk to some of the winners of the short film contest they have at reel13.org. And so we have 4 great filmmakers with us today, all who have had their shorts shown on Reel 13 on Saturday nights. First we have David Licata, who directed Tango Octogenario, which aired on January 5th. Followed by Shahar, who directed The Apologist, airing on January 12th. Also Sheih, who directed No Menus Please, airing on January 26th. And Bo Mehrad, who directed Thirsty, airing on February 23rd. I expect that we're going to have a very exciting conversation about your experiences making short films and having your films shown on Reel 13. So the first thing, show of hands, I want to talk about training and background. Out of the 4 of you, who went to film school, film training program, etc.? Okay, Bo, where'd you go?
San Francisco State University.
San Francisco, it's a good school. I think it's the top 10, I think.
It wasn't when I went there.
But it is because of you, perhaps.
Sure.
All right, Guy, where you were like this.
I took a couple courses at the NYFA, and then I got a degree in film from the New School.
All right, so how did you guys find that experience? You think film school, these programs, do you think they helped?
Around the time I went to school, it was when indies were kind of booming, and there was a lot of conversation about, well, you should just spend the money you're going to spend on school and make an indie. And unfortunately, I was completely clueless about how to make a film. So, I mean, on that level, I think film school really helped, and it was sort of created this, for me anyway, a period where I could make a lot of mistakes and make a lot of bad work, which I did. I made a lot of bad films, and so I made a lot of bad films outside of film school, but in film school.
Luckily, Thirsty is not one of them.
Yeah, you luck out after a while. But so on that level, it was really good. On some other levels, it wasn't that great because I have friends who are filmmakers who didn't go to film school, so they don't have this built-in weirdness around sharing of information. And I don't know if that's just my film school, but so there's that kind of like jaded quality that you get when you get out of film school, which you shouldn't have because you're just starting out. So it's a mixed bag.
Do you have a different experience? New York Film Academy, New School?
The great thing for me was the theory, was really the exposure to the kind of films that you would normally see if you weren't going to film school. Like they'll expose you to the Kurosawa films and Fellini and all these other artists that you really wouldn't today. They're not really artists that are in the popular consciousness for people that are film goers. But it's something that I think is vitally important if you're going to be a filmmaker. Because if you're going to be a filmmaker, you need to have a cultural context for what happened before you and what innovations were made if you're going to go forward and innovate in your own style. You got to know where you fit in.
I definitely agree that is a key thing about film school. I mean, a lot of people experience these films on their own, but I mean, like, I never would have gone to see Fassbinder, on my own, or even just like something random like Ugetsu Monogatari, or like some of these random films that wind up shaping you as a filmmaker. All right, so from a different perspective, David and Eddie, David, we'll start with you. How did you get started? What's your background?
I was a writer. I was an English major in college. And
Can I ask what college?
Yeah, Hunter College.
What kind of a writer? Novelist? Or?
Yeah, short stories, working on a novel. And a bunch of friends that I went to high school with, after we graduated from college and whatnot, they moved out to LA and they all wound up working, in the film business. And they're like, well, you're a writer, you should write a screenplay. So I was like, yeah, maybe. And then I wrote a screenplay and I really enjoyed it. And then I wrote another one and I wrote another one. And then I wrote this funny little short film that I had really no idea what I was going to do with it. It was really more just of an exercise. I had this idea, I thought it could be funny. I wrote it, I sent it to this friend of mine and he said, you should make this. It's so simple, it'll direct itself, it'll cost you nothing, make it. And I was like, what are you talking about? I've never made a film in my life. And then he just kept pushing me, and it didn't make itself. It cost a lot of money. We shot it on 16mm film. And it's like, I ripped out all of my hair. But it was, that was my film school. I mean, that was it. And so I learned a lot about working with actors that way. I've learned a lot about working with crew and being able to communicate differently with different people.
So Tango was your second film after this?
Yeah.
Wow.
I had no formal training. My background's in advertising.
So were you a copywriter or?
Art director.
Art director,
Yeah.
okay.
But I write scripts, so it's. But I mean, that really doesn't really give you the actual hands-on experience of making a film.
First of all, was No Menus Please your first short?
Yeah.
Okay. Oh wow. Did you feel like at some point that you wish you had that sort of training instead of like this having to learn on the job?
I actually go back and forth with that. For instance, I'm debating today if I should apply to graduate film school. But at the same time, you know, there's a lot of things that I've learned. You know, obviously my film No Menus Please is a crash course. It's my film 101. I was fortunate to have the opportunity, you know, offered to me to have it produced by, you know, through a production company, and I was willing to sort of let it go and just have it, you know, created for me and just stay on as a writer. But I have some friends that are, you know, pretty prominent in the film industry, which I kind of went to for advice, and they kind of just said, look, you have a film, you know it the best, you know the story inside and out, and obviously I'm familiar, you know, with what happens on a set. I don't know what the light's called, but I know where it goes. You know what I mean? So yeah. They all encouraged me to do it, and that I sort of started, and I went to other friends who have directing experience, and they kind of guided me, and I was somehow able to make No Menus.
David, do you have any thoughts? Like, did you ever wish you had made that choice?
No, I never really thought of it. When I was in college, I mean, I was convinced I was a writer, and I still am a writer. I think what I did miss was the sort of camaraderie and the context that everybody had. You know, I mean, they just brought, on that first film, I hired a NYU cinematographer, and it was like all of her classmates were, you know, the crew.
There's a lot of that, but there's also there's a level of competition too there.
Absolutely.
I mean, like it's half and half. At the outset of a film program, there are people there that have a sense that they know everything that they're doing,
sure.
and they learn quickly that that's not the case.